when you should have written to tailor your business. Hello and welcome. We are True Crime and Wine Couple, and we're going to have an update about some topics that we talked about, namely Gypsy Rose and Ryan Anderson and the Rust trial, the Rust Armorer shooting trial of Hannah Gutierrez Reed. So grab your wine, Pete's drinking, I have a school day tomorrow, and come back and join us.
All right, well, I will kick it off with our favorite topic, Gypsy Rose. So Gypsy is back in the news once again after deleting all of her social media and sort of going underground to get some privacy and work on her and Ryan's relationship, but I guess that didn't go so well. So they are split. She has filed for divorce. She has moved back in with her parents. Now, how long did you give them?
We gave them a month, right?
So that she lasts a little bit longer.
A little bit longer.
A little bit, yeah. So it's been widely reported that she has been seen around town with her ex-fiance Ken, and that is the reason that Ryan is giving for the split. That he just could not handle it. He felt blindsided. That now all of a sudden she has all these strong feelings for Ken. They deny all of this.
All of a sudden.
So
that's how feelings happen.
He should have seen this coming a long time ago. Because then, right before they got married, he was like, "Why are you talking to Ken?" And
I said it to you when we were watching. I said, she's not over Ken.
Right.
It was obvious. If anyone who watched the Lifetime show, in my opinion, it was obvious.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of discrepancy on why this whole split happened. So according to Ryan, it was because of Ken.
Right.
Now, according to Gypsy, that had nothing to do with it. They're just good friends. They're just hanging out and being friends. Ken said there's no intimacy, there's no nothing. Gypsy says she's on birth control, so she's verified that she's not pregnant.
I have a lot of friends, and we don't typically hold hands when we're going to get matching tattoos.
You don't?
Do with that as you will.
Yes. So according to Gypsy, the reason for the split was one, apparently Ryan is a food hoarder, and it was reminding her of living with Dee Dee, of all the hoarding. So apparently one night while Ryan was out, I guess the refrigerator was just full of crap that needed to be thrown away, so she threw it away. And that caused this big, huge fight. So that was reason number one. Reason number two, apparently Ryan snores very loudly. And I snore. The fatter I get, excuse my language, the fatter I get, the more I snore. When I lose weight, I don't snore as much.
Shocking that he snores.
Yeah, so Ryan, he's kind of a big dude, and it's not shocking that he snores. It's not shocking that has food all over the place. So that was reason number two. Then reason number three, apparently, as Gypsy puts it, he is like a furnace. And she likes to sleep in a cold bed. And again, a big dude. I'm sure he is probably hot and sweaty, and
well,
so
and
that's
he's
probably true.
He's more than big. I mean, I don't want to shame anybody, but he's grossly obese.
Yeah, he is.
It's unhealthy. Yeah.
So those are her reasons for the split. I am sort of going to tend to go with Ryan on this one. I'm going to side with Ryan. Only because Gypsy, ever since she's been out, she's been all over the place. You can't really trust anything she says. You don't know what's true, you don't know what's not true. And you could have seen this coming anyway. If you watch the documentary, that whole Ken thing was an issue back then. So you should have seen this coming. So I'm going to side with Ryan. I think the reason for this split was because of Ken. And I think there's a lot more going on there with Gypsy and Ken than what she's letting on. Now, those other factors may have factored in a little bit, but I think he initiated the split, not her.
She was definitely not over that ex. It was apparent. Now, this is a very interesting comment that I wanted to share with you that I waited for the video to tell you this.
I got something for you too.
Okay, so I was watching a video about Gypsy today, and there was I was in the chat. because I'll do this, I'll go into chats. And somebody said something really interesting. They said Charles Manson wasn't a murderer either.
No, he wasn't.
And they compared Gypsy to Charles Manson. Now, the person in the
A
chat,
little bit of a stretch.
yes,
but-
the person in the chat got a lot of hate, but I thought about it, and yeah, I mean, she's the one who talked, in my opinion, her boyfriend at the time, Nicholas Godejohn, into killing her mother.
Much like Charles Manson talked all of his followers into committing all those crimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very slim connection.
Yes, but the concept to think about it is quite interesting, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah, you really do have to be sort of a master manipulator to be able to get people to do that kind of thing. So yeah.
and like I've been saying all along, she learned from the best.
Oh, absolutely.
And when she hit the ground running after her release from prison, she did this. She's doing the same exact thing. She's grifting, she's manipulating, and I find it interesting.
Now, remember back when, in one of our prior videos, you had said to me that Ryan resembled Dee Dee.
Yes.
Okay. I was looking at a photo today of Ken.
No.
Look at Ken and look at her father. They look identical. He could I mean, you look at those two and you're like, that's his son.
Mm.
That's what I came away from it. that was what I wanted to throw at you.
So mom abused me, but dad left me for the abuse. So maybe she's working out all her all her familial relationship.
Maybe, I don't know.
And her
who the heck
romantic
knows?
relationships.
Yeah, who the heck knows what she's going? But I was just going through it, and it just, for some reason, I'm looking at him like, oh my God, they look the same. That could be his son.
Ryan, if you're listening to us, which you probably are not, I have your next endeavor. I think you need to remake Biz Markie's Just a Friend and
What?
promote that. Do
What?
that, Ryan. Do it. You've never heard the song? You've never heard the
This
rap
is
song?
what I go through on a daily basis. She throws stuff out there, and I just have no clue what the hell she's talking about.
Basically, the song is about a guy who's in love with a girl, and she's got another guy, but she says he's just a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Your rap career is imminent, Ryan.
Ryan the
Living
rapper.
well is the best revenge. So is that the end of it?
That is yeah. On that note, yes, that's all I had on Gypsy. It was a short update, but I thought it was interesting. And then when I saw that, and honestly, when I saw that picture, I'm like, we need to do a video on this because I just need to say this out loud.
All my Biz Markie fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. He's got this. I might actually leave him a message on TikTok because I don't think he'll watch our video.
Probably not.
So I'll hit him up. I'll hit him up on TikTok
There you
and
go.
I'll start following him. Now, on a more serious note, Hannah Gutierrez Reed was sentenced, and she received the maximum sentence of 18 months. What happened at her sentencing was friends and family and loved ones of Helena Hutchins talked about Helena as a person and her legacy and what she brought to this world. And she seemed like an amazing person. Now, I did remember at the trial that didn't Hannah say she said something about her. She was high-strung or type A or overly controlling.
Oh, really? I don't
Yeah,
remember
she
that.
had said something. If anybody remembers, if you want to leave it in the comments, I'd appreciate it. So she did say something derogatory about her. So I found that really interesting. She said that on the phone, I think, remember the assistant who was
Yeah.
also her boss, and she was also that thing was a mess.
Yes.
So now the judge was not happy with Hannah.
No.
The judge was very firm.
Well, you knew
Very
that was
firm and
coming
fair.
even when she was when she was found guilty. She's like, no, take her to jail right now.
Yes, true. And once again, her jailhouse calls come back to bite her in the butt. I don't understand jailhouse calls. They're told, I think what happens is that these people think they're gonna manipulate everybody and that they're gonna talk their way out of this. And we keep seeing this, like we keep seeing these jail calls.
Yeah.
It's a common theme in Delphi. Paul Ferguson and Shonda Vander Ark. So
Crumblies.
the Crumblies, yes, exactly. So that was interesting to me. So what the judge said was that she highlighted all the different sentences Hannah could get. So the first one was obviously what Hannah's legal team wanted, her defense team, and that was just straight probation. And the judge said that then if she was on probation, she wouldn't be a convicted felon and she would be allowed to possess firearms. So that was option number
Really?
one. Yes, she did say that she would need to violate, the judge specifically said it, maybe it's New Mexico law, the judge said that she would need to violate the probation in order to lose the ability to possess firearms.
Wow,
I found that interesting.
That's very
yes.
interesting, because I thought, I didn't think it was the sentence that gave you the restrictions, I thought it was the conviction. So,
Right.
you know, whether if you're so, let's just say, for example, you're convicted of, well, she was convicted of manslaughter, but let's say you're convicted
Right.
of murder, okay? And you get sentenced to probation, which would never happen, I understand that. But you get sentenced to probation, you're still a convicted murderer felon, regardless of your probation or the death penalty. So in this case, it's different?
Yeah, you should have got that legal degree.
I guess,
That's what
yeah.
the judge said.
Sure was to my mom when I was young.
We've had some lawyers comment on some things. If you're listening, we'd appreciate a comment on that.
Yeah, I just didn't think that the sentence had any bearing on what your conviction
According
is.
to the judge, it did.
Huh.
Okay, so then the second option that the judge highlighted was 12 months at a Santa Fe County Detention Center and then probation. And then she would be a felon and would not be allowed to possess a firearm. And then the third option was from the state, and that was 85% of time to be served in state prison. So the judge then points to Hannah's jailhouse calls. And she also talked about everything that happened with her loading the gun. And it was really interesting, and I didn't think about this. The judge had a really unique perspective on this, in my opinion. So that day, remember, they had stopped filming because everybody had quit.
Right.
So she said to her, you had all this time. She said Helena was trying to get it together so they could film, and basically you're just standing there loading his gun. And then she said, you know, you had time to check the bullets, you had time to make sure there were no dummy rounds. I mean, the rounds were dummy rounds. Like, you had so much time to do this, but yet you weren't conscientious about it. And then she said that Hannah was dismissive of her, the judge, talking about the death of Helena as a result of Helena's actions. And Helena said that people die, it's unfortunate, and Helena shouldn't be in jail. I'm sorry, Hannah, my bad. So Hannah said that people die, you know, it's unfortunate, and Hannah should not be in jail. And the judge said that Hannah took no accountability or responsibility, and she said she was sorry, but she didn't say she was sorry for her actions. And that to me had echoes of Jennifer Crumbly saying,
I wouldn't have done anything different.
I wouldn't have done anything. Oh, that drama, I can't even. So what the judge decided to do was she sentenced Hannah to 18 months in a women's correctional facility in a state prison. She said that because she was a serious violent felon, she needed to experience state prison as opposed to, you know, the county facility.
So do you think if Hannah would have presented herself better, like if she would have actually shown true remorse, if she wouldn't have been stupid and saying stupid things on recorded phone calls, do you think she would have got a lesser sentence? Do you think
her
that
attitude,
contributed?
I think the judge watches people's attitudes. I really do. Oh, and this is really interesting. So the judge said that she wanted to be on probation so that she could pursue her modeling career. Well, let me tell you, the comments blew up about that one. But really, what is she, you know, her career's done.
Yes.
Her career as an armorer is over. Oh, and the judge also said she proudly declared that she was the armorer. So basically, you know, you're going to declare that you want the accolades, but not the responsibility.
Right.
Which, you know, so that's what happened with Hannah. And like you said, you could kind of tell that she put her right into prison right after.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't messing around. As soon as they came back with that guilty plea, she's just, you know, take her away.
So now, what do you think? Do you think Alec is pooping his pants right now, or do you think that he thinks that his power and his influence will get him off?
I think Alec should be pooping his pants right now, but part of me thinks he probably isn't.
He probably
Because he
isn't.
probably just thinks he's so far above all of this and that he really has no responsibility to any of this. Now, I might be the wrong person to talk to because I really don't like Alec Baldwin.
Mhm.
I've never liked anything he's done. I don't like the way, I don't like anything about him. The only thing, his only redeeming quality was sweaty balls on Saturday Night Live. Which is probably one of the best Saturday Night skits ever. But other than that, I don't have much use for him, so I might be the wrong person to be talking about it. But he should be. And I think, and you made a point earlier, not in the video, but when we were talking earlier, that society is just fed up with crime, with guns, with everything else that goes along with it, and it seems to be a theme now where we're cracking down on things that we never did before. So, you know, you have the Crumbleys who now are in jail because their son did a school shooting. Now that you have that school down in Virginia, so now that assistant principal is facing charges because she didn't hold up her responsibilities to stop that kid, that 6-year-old kid from shooting the teacher. Now you have Hannah, who didn't pull, I mean, honestly, she didn't pull the trigger, but she was in charge of that gun.
Right.
So now she's in jail. I think Alex should be
We've
really
become a
worried.
neglectful society, and I think people that do what they're supposed to do are tired of people neglecting their duties. I think people are very tired of violence, especially gun violence, and that violence being committed in schools. I think people have just had it, and I think people need to really watch themselves because they're going to be called to task and scapegoated.
There seems to be a backlash that's beginning.
Yeah.
It seems there's sort of like a groundswell now and it's been a slow sort of bubbling under the surface, but now it seems to be coming out a little bit.
And these parents that don't want to discipline your children, or don't want the school to discipline your children, or don't want society to discipline your children, they're coming for you if your children become violent offenders. I really think so.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
people have just had it. I think we've had it. And the crime just seems to be more and more senseless. Like those two teenagers in Vegas that, you know, ran over that retired cop just out for a bike ride.
And laughing and just filming the whole thing thinking it was a big joke.
Or that man who did the Flying Dutchman on that judge.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's not even respect for judges now.
No, I'll tell you what, if that dude wasn't going to jail, he'd be in the NFL because that was.
Well, I was thinking WrestleMania myself.
Boy, that was like a middle linebacker going across that.
And speaking of WrestleMania, Ryan Anderson is a WrestleMania fan. So maybe he can bring his version of Biz's Just a Friend out to the wrestling fans.
I could see Ryan Anderson as a professional wrestler.
I think, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I could actually see
Who
that.
also raps.
Apparently, yes.
Rapping on the Bayou rapper, the
Yep,
white Bayou rapper.
The white Bayou
Ryan
rapper,
Anderson.
there you go. Ryan Anderson.
And we talked about the Crumblies too in our live.
Yes,
we did.
yeah.
Yeah, so we brought that up again.
Yeah.
So, be careful, America.
And-
It's a crazy week. Nikolai Mew, poor guy, just...
One other thing I found interesting that you said to me earlier as well. As we all know, Mary's a teacher, and she has a foreign exchange student. And she was talking to her...
From Germany.
From Germany, and in Germany nobody has guns. But they're also starting to see violence among younger
Yeah.
teenagers not with guns, but now, they're using knives. So there seems to be, it's starting not to be just an American issue. It seems to be now spreading worldwide, where you're starting to get these different atrocious crimes that are going on, and people are figuring out that I don't need a gun to kill somebody. So it's something's going on.
It's funny how crime has changed, because I was speaking to my students about, they're like, why aren't there these serial killers anymore from the 70s and the 80s, and I said, because they get caught.
Right.
But the crimes are becoming so much more like senseless and less thought out, and it's just crazy.
Do you think? This just popped in my head.
Okay.
So do you think that now, because it's almost impossible to be a serial killer
Yes, it is.
in this day and age?
Right.
I mean, you have to be really good to be a serial killer. So do you think that these people that would have become a serial killer are, instead of doing the serial killing, are doing these spree killings or these mass killings,
Yes.
knowing that they're going to get caught,
I
but they're
think
just sort of
two
going out
things.
there and doing it all?
I think two things are happening. The one is really sad, and I just hate to say this, but more children of parents that would have raised serial killers are dying. There's so many children dying of abuse and neglect, if you follow the news. So I think there's that.
Never thought about that.
It just occurred to me today, and it's really sad, and I don't like to think about it, but it's so now we've just had the second case in 6 months of a parent leaving two children to fend for themselves. Luckily they were 6 and 8. That mother left that infant and went on vacation, and the poor child, the cries of the child were terrible. You have Lacey Fletcher, who was left on a couch for 12 years and never moved by her parents. It's just disgusting. We're living in a throwaway society. People are being violent to their children, ignoring their children, being neglectful, and I think we've just had it.
Yeah, and for years and years and years, I was always taking the stance that this has always gone on. We just didn't know about it. We know about it now because of social media. But probably over the past few years, it's becoming more and more clear to me that this is happening a lot more now than it ever did. Yeah, we know now with social media, we know about everything, but I really think that it is becoming more and more prevalent.
And that's another interesting thing. So I went to see a woman who is a serial killer expert speak at a local theater near me, and she said that almost all serial killers are American, a very high percentage. I don't remember the percentage.
I would imagine it's very high.
And the reason for that, and I came up with the reason because somebody asked me, and she had said the reason, and I knew it. It's because we lost our sense of community. We're very nuclear here. We're very isolated here. You don't have a whole extended family. So if a child's being abused, like what happened with Gypsy,
Right.
they just let the mom and her be their own nuclear family. A
And
very
that-
similar situation.
And that really did start back in the 60s, right? That is
Yeah.
when the nuclear family started to become less and less, and that's when all the
Men went to
serial
work,
killers,
women stayed home, and raised
and
the
then all the
kid.
serial killers started popping up in the 60s and 70s, and that's really, again, that's when it all started.
Not all of them, but a lot
Well,
of
a
them.
lot
yeah.
of it. And-
In addition to the year, there were other precipitating factors, like the Alaska pipeline gave Robert Hansen, the butcher baker, his victims.
Gary Ridgway.
Gary Ridgway, the red light district there, all the people moving to California in the 70s. Then
Right.
you got the highway killer, you got the, what else did you have? You had, that's when Kemper was operating.
Well, they were all operating
right,
around
around
that
the same time, right.
You had the
So-
Zodiac killer, you had...
Gacy nowadays would have been caught probably after the first few victims because we didn't have, they didn't have Megan's Law back then.
Gacy wouldn't have... I don't know that Gacy would have gotten very far.
So the time period really does contribute to the crimes, and as we see now, times have changed and it's a whole different type of crime wave.
Right. Yeah, there's no way you could do what BTK did. You wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to do what the Golden State Killer did. You know, you have the Ring cameras, you have alarms. There's just no way you'd be able to
then
get away with
DNA
that.
just basically,
Right.
DNA put the,
then
put the
DNA,
serial killers
yeah.
out of, yeah. And then you have familial DNA, so there's that too. So now they can just catch you just because you're a family member of somebody who committed a crime.
Brian Goldberger.
Brian Kohberger, the Golden State Killer,
Golden State Killer.
BTK, all caught through
Mm-hmm.
familial DNA.
Which I'm not sure about. That's a whole other video.
Yes, it is. He definitely is in his feels about familial DNA.
Yeah.
So the wine, what are you drinking?
The wine I am drinking.
I'm the lightweight, I'm not drinking.
Yes, I am drinking a Petit Manseng from Effingham Vineyards, which is in Virginia. Do you remember this place?
I probably do because of the name.
So we were.
Effingham?
Yes, Effingham. So we were in Virginia, and we were actually coming home. We were done, and we're just driving home, and we passed this place. And I turned around, like, let's go check this out. And remember, it was like that big estate that they had, and then they had music, and they had there was outdoor seating. And there was
that's
like
delicious.
Yeah, it really is. And then there was indoor seating. It was a beautiful, beautiful vineyard. But yeah, that's the only reason that was not on our list to check
There
out.
was music, right?
There
It was
was
a very
music.
steep hill. I have renamed Petit Manseng the Riesling of the South
Yes,
because it reminds me very much of Riesling. And yes, Barbara, it is delicious.
it really is. Yeah, it has sort of a. It's not as
Lemony as a Riesling.
right. Yeah, it's not as lemony. And
It's
it has
maybe a cross between a Riesling and a Chardonnay.
I was just going to say that because you get a little bit of an oak on the end.
Little
Very,
bit.
very little.
Yeah.
But you get a little oak on the end.
You get that
So it's
of
sort
a
of like a
Chardonnay.
cross between a Riesling and a Chardonnay.
It's
But
very good.
Yeah,
It's
it's
delicious.
delicious. And we don't have that up here.
If you live in Virginia, we envy your
Yes, we
ability
do.
to run to a store and buy a Petit Manseng,
Yes,
a winery,
absolutely.
and buy Petit Manseng anytime. You can't even get it here, even in the liquor stores. I don't think we can find
I've never
Petit
really
Manseng.
looked for it
We're
because
gonna
we have
to.
so much of it downstairs. But
This is true.
but when we run out, I'll look for it.
Please like, please subscribe. If you like, leave a comment about why you like. If you like it, leave a comment about what you'd like to see us cover. Leave us constructive criticism. I read an interesting article today that made me feel better about our comments. You will never make 5% of people happy. 5% of people are never going to be happy no matter what you do. So if 5% of your
It's only
comments...
that low? I
If 5% of your
thought it'd be a lot
comments
higher
stink,
than that.
If 5% of your comments stink, you're good to go.
All right. And also make sure you hit that notification bell. We have started to do lives, so we're still working on that, still trying to figure it out. It's a little hiccupy a little bit, but hit that notification and that way you'll get notified when we're going live.
We appreciate each and every viewer, each and every subscriber, and we want to keep doing what we're doing because we love wine and we love true crime. So please like and subscribe and join us in the next video.
Have a good night.